Hey guys, Adam Katz for BurningDirect.com, the dog training marketing agency. We run Google Ads for professional dog training business owners, ostensibly just like yourself. Hey, I just wanted to get some thoughts down. This isn't one of my instructional videos, just some kind of random thoughts. It's after hours right now. I shouldn't even be on the computer, but I wanted to kind of get these thoughts down. I'm mildly inebriated at this point, so hopefully this is somewhat coherent. I just got off a video call with my friend James Maturana down in Australia, who is expanding his operation. And he was driving when he called me, which was really cool. We had a video chat going while he was driving. However, the streaming part of it didn't end up working very well, and we got cut off. So I'm doing this video for him as well as for you guys, and just to kind of record some very, very random thoughts. Not even sure how coherent any of this is going to come out, but um, some ideas about opening up multiple locations. And what I was trying to convey is that, we run Google Ads for at any given time between 50 to 60 different dog training business owners, predominantly in the United States. And what I see frequently with people who set up multiple locations, they're doing really well with their first location, and then they take one or two trainers from that location and they put them in a different city, and they have that trainer or those trainers running the second location for them. But what tends to happen is that those trainers now basically running their own location, the first trainer's location, but running it for them independently, quickly starts to think, why can't I be doing this for myself? Instead of, me making 50% or 40% or whatever the cut is, I could be making 100% of the money and just start my own dog training business. So a big hurdle in this industry is getting training and then keeping really good trainers, and specifically keeping them once you've set them up in a satellite location. So here are my thoughts. Number one, I was reading a book by Joel Salatin. And those of you who don't know Joel Salatin, he's kind of like the godfather of small scale farming, of independent, local, starting up your own chicken farming ranch, that type of thing. And what he was saying was, for those, I don't have any interest in doing that, but for those of us that are a little bit older, 40, 50, 60 years old, we don't have the energy to run that kind of operation ourselves as we get older. And so a smarter move would be to partner with a younger person who maybe has the same interests that you do, wants to do the same thing that you're doing, but doesn't necessarily have the capital, or maybe doesn't have the connections, or maybe doesn't have quite the business savvy that you do. And here's the interesting thing that he suggested. He said, you give them a majority interest in the operation, maybe 60, 70%, not a 50-50 split. And that struck me as interesting because, basically it had to be enough to keep them from wanting to go off and do it on their own once things are up and running, right? And that makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, if you're going to set up a satellite location, you really want the person, your trainer who's running that satellite location for you, to be so invested in it that they don't just think, hey, screw this guy, I'm just gonna start my own dog training business, right? So what do you bring to the table? Like I said, capital, business savvy, connections, and understanding of how to run systems, those types of things, maybe. But I think after a certain point, the person running that satellite location, that's not going to be enough. So it has to be, what you bring to the table has to be enough that the trainer running that satellite location says, you know what? Yeah, I could start my own dog training business, but then I'd have to do all this other stuff, all the stuff that you're doing. That might be, handling lead generation or copywriting or adding new systems or outreach or whatever it is, right? So you end up with both parties that are very happy. And I've owned 3 dog training businesses myself over the years, 3 small dog training businesses, and a couple of online businesses. And specifically with the online businesses, I always tried to set it up in a way that the people working for me had a vested interest in the business. So, for example, if the business grew, if we signed more clients, then the employees would make more money, significantly more money. If the location didn't do well, then obviously they'd make less money, but that would be a little bit more on me, right? Because I'm the one kind of running the business. But um, so you have that, and then you also have the fact that a lot of times technicians in a business. If you go back and read Michael Gerber's The E-Myth Revisited, he talks about you have technicians inside your business. Those are the people that are actually doing the actual trade or offering the actual skill set. So this, in our case, would be the professional, the dog trainers themselves, not the business owner, but the technician, the dog trainers who are actually training the dogs. And so you end up with a scenario where a lot of times, if you find the right person and if you explain how your operation works, you ideally you want somebody who's like, yeah, I love training dogs. I love working with the clients. I don't want to handle, maybe the sales part of it. I don't want to handle, answering the phones or calling people back. I don't want to handle scheduling, that type of relationship. So you're going to have to figure that out, with each satellite location that you set up. What is their skill set, and what are their dreams, and what are their desires, and what do they hate doing? And I think a big part of it, I think a lot of times when you have a trainer that leaves and breaks off to do their own thing, not always, but I think frequently what happens is they don't clearly have an understanding of the expenses and the headaches and the hassles that all of you who do run your own business are going through. They don't realize that you could be paying $20 to $50 per lead or more, just to get somebody to pick up the phone, depending on the lead source. All they know is, hey, the phone's ringing, and they've got somebody to run Google ads, or he's doing Facebook ads or whatever. I could do that too. But once you go through the numbers with them, then they start to realize, hey, you know what? I actually got it pretty good, because at the end of the day, the owner, they're not really making that much profit per se after they're paying me and they're paying the ads and all the other stuff, right? So maybe if you structure the situation correctly, the relationship correctly, they're in a position where maybe in terms of their take home, it may be greater than if they were to run a one-person business themselves. Now, how you come out ahead is that there may be economy of scale as to what you're doing. You may be able to run 2 dog training businesses cheaper than you can run one. You may get deals on advertising or van wraps or who knows what. I mean, we can get into the nitty gritty of it later, but these are just some kind of some thoughts that I've had. And I really think the biggest bottleneck in this industry, in the dog training industry, is finding good people, training them to be great dog trainers, and specifically keeping them, for the long run. And I really feel that to do that, you're going to have to, everything I just mentioned, establish a really good working relationship, make sure that their goals align with yours, make sure that you have transparency in your operation so they do understand, all the expenses and headaches. And then finding that person who really predominantly just wants to, train dogs, or maybe does the sales too. Now, the other thing that I wanted to bring up to James, and this is just my thought, my opinion, is that ideally, I think it would make sense, if you have the traffic mechanisms like Google Ads, and if you're interested in learning more about that, head on over to browningdirect.com, BROWNINGDIRECT.com. Ideally, I think it would make sense if you can get enough traffic, enough calls coming through. The way that you'd want to do it would be to have 2 people starting out at a location. One being the trainer, and the other one being the sales/office admin for that location. Because I think that separating the two, where you have a salesperson and you have a trainer, might work even better to, give the trainer, anyways, because it's easier to find salespeople than it is to find trainers. that lifestyle where, hey, you just want to train dogs, you just want to, help dog owners, you don't want to hassle with the business part of it, it might make the whole thing work better. So those are just some random thoughts. The way that I would structure it, like if I had 5 separate dog training locations and then a home-based location, what I would do is I would put a couple of people in one office and have all of the leads from all of the different locations coming into that one office. So you have dedicated phone people, and those people have been trained from a script, and they're able to sell over the phone really, really well. And when I say sell, I don't necessarily mean selling the entire full boat, the full training program. It may just mean selling them on an in-person consultation where the person at satellite location 1, the not the trainer, but the salesperson, he has the sales appointment scheduled for him at the home office, right? And so all he needs to do is just show up at this place and at this time and close the deal. Those are my thoughts. Those are my thoughts on a late Tuesday evening. Hopefully this has been helpful. Again, I'm not saying any of this is set in stone. They're just some random crazy ideas from a guy who's probably had a little too much to drink. Anyways, curious about your thoughts. Comment below if you're watching this either on YouTube or in the Dog Trainer Marketing Group on Facebook. It is free to join. You'll be amongst over 2,900 other professional dog training business owners swapping secret strategies, tips. It's a fantastic resource. And like I said, the best part is it's absolutely free. All right. Take care, guys.